It looks like we are hearing reports anyway that Bruno Fernandes could be getting the armband at Manchester United. Obviously, Harry Maguire stripped of it. Good or bad? Right or wrong decision?
Yeah, I think it's the right decision.
They don't have that many, do they?
No, I think they have a lot of potential captains, Manchester United. When I was asked this question earlier, I thought there were about 5 players that were worthy of consideration.
Can I guess your 5 here?
Go on.
So you would say Varane, you would say Casemiro, you would say obviously Bruno would be there, and you're probably saying Rashford. That's it, really.
I think you could add one more.
Who? Luke Shaw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Luke Shaw's given a little bit of a harsh ride. It's partly because of the way he plays, sort of barrelling down that left side. But I think he's a very good player.
That's the perfect way to describe it.
Barrels along, doesn't he? Yeah. But he's a very good player who, again, gets appreciated. I think he's been very good for the club. He's been there an awful long time now. He's come through adversity, and he's been a distinctly good...
and he's been at the club a long time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been at the club a long time. A lot longer than Bruno Fernandes.
But I think Bruno Fernandes is the right answer.
Why?
Here. Because
he's petulant.
Yeah, but
he swings his hands around and does nothing.
No, but what's wrong with that?
No, but he's doing nothing. No, there's swinging and doing something, and he does it for no reason. No, it's almost like he's doing it because he knows, I've got to do that. As opposed to, this actually works.
No, Bruno Fernandes being animated is because he's passionate and because he has incredibly high standards for both himself and for the rest of his team. Bruno Fernandes is the personality of that team. He is also, and this isn't appreciated enough, Bruno Fernandes is an elite footballer.
He's not.
He is an elite footballer.
He's a very good footballer.
No, but he isn't seen through the correct lens in this country. Bruno Fernandes is one of the best in the world in his position.
Why do you think that is?
Because he's disliked. Because he's disliked, because he's petulant, because he's a little bit nasty, because there's an edge to his game and an edge to his character. All of these things I'm saying here, they have very negative connotations.
Liked players like that.
No,
there's players that have an edge to their game.
People will be snide about players like Bruno Fernandes. All of the things that I've said there, I've said he's petulant, I said he's got an edge, I said that he can be arrogant, I said that he can be aggressive. All of those things, all of those words I've used have very negative connotations. But I see them in a positive light. Yeah, you need to have those attributes to be the very best. Yeah, but
they're not captain attributes.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Demanding the best from those around you, insisting that everybody plays to their maximum.
He demands the best when I've seen him demand the best in games when I'm like, you run. Like, I've seen him sometimes jog and almost tell everyone to go, and I'm like, you're not going. No. Lead by example. You do it first.
He does lead by example. His performances are example enough. His performances are example.
For me,
the way that he plays since he's been at that club, he has been one of the best players at that club since the second that he landed. He's been one of the best signings in the Premier League over the past 5 years. He is a truly...
No, he's not.
Yes, he definitely is.
No, he hasn't been.
Bruno Fernandes.
No, but he's not been one of the
best.
Bruno
Fernandes is comparable to the best midfielder. Bruno Fernandes is comparable to the best midfielders in the league. If you were to say the 5 best midfielders in the Premier League, Bruno Fernandes should be on your list. And if he isn't on your list, then you're making it personal because you don't like him, because you don't like the way he plays, or because you support Liverpool.
You say that? No, I'm not. There's four midfielders at City that are in front of him in terms of best.
No, in his particular, you can't really compare Rodri.
You said midfielders.
Okay, four best midfielders.
Rodri, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva are better than Bruno Fernandes.
They aren't.
You just said midfielders, and I just named 5.
No,
I just named 4.
Okay, I think it's. You are correct in the way that I phrase the question, but you're being slightly clever to compare Rodri to Bruno Fernandes.
You just said name 4 better midfielders.
Okay, I'll rephrase the question. There aren't 4. There aren't in the top 5 attacking midfielders in the league. Bruno Fernandes is most certainly in that.
He should be because he's a top midfielder. He's very highly paid, and he plays for Manchester. He should be that.
That's all true, but he's also captain material. The way that he plays the game, the way that he approaches every single game, his natural will to win, the talent on display.
Luke Shaw has all of this. Luke Shaw has all that natural will to win.
Doesn't have the talent.
He has talent. Luke Shaw's a fantastic left back. Marcus Rashford's been at the club since he was a kid. Man United through and through. Guaranteed starter as well. Arguably their best player last season.
He was their best player for 8 weeks.
Arguably their best, but overall the whole season is probably the best player.
No, Bruno Fernandes was undoubtedly their best player last season. Bruno Fernandes was undoubtedly Manchester United's best player. Look, I certainly wouldn't balk at the idea of Marcus Rashford getting the armband. I think the Stretford end would love it. They sing about him being Mancunian and representing the club really well, both on and off the pitch. He is Manchester United personified. I wouldn't balk at the idea, but I still think it should be Fernandes.
When I think of captains, and look, obviously it's changed, and some foreign managers, by the way, don't put as much stock into it. I remember when Klopp came and there was a lot of talk about Virgil van Dijk getting a captaincy, and he was like, didn't really mean much to him. When I think of captains, I do have this think of the likes of Roy Keane and John Terry and Steven Gerrard and Carragher when he used to get it. And he obviously isn't that. And I get it, it's a different type of captaincy, but he's not that.
But Addy, there's different ways to wear an armband. Okay, you can wear the armband in the way that Patrick Vieira, John Terry and Roy Keane did. And to be totally frank with you, I agree. I like that kind of captain. I like blood, sweat and tears. I like that will to win. I like that desire to be the best. And I like that fight, that edge, that nastiness and that standard that a captain like John Terry would set. I love that. But we're being a little bit one-dimensional if we think that's the only way to be a captain. For example, N'Golo Kante at Chelsea was totally capable of being a captain, but he wasn't a captain in a blood, sweat and tears way.
And he wasn't
was a captain by example.
He wasn't petulant. He wasn't a diver. Didn't moan every second. Didn't throw his arms up.
Can you hear yourself?
No, I'm saying that's
you sound bonkers.
No, what I'm trying to say is N'Golo Kante, as a captain, as a leader, and in terms of setting an example, is what I would love a footballer to be.
The way that you're sneering at Bruno Fernandes, he wasn't a diver and he didn't throw his hands around.
Petulant. Let's get Aaron in, Man United fan. Phone lines open, 03717 223344. Aaron, Bruno Fernandes, captain, talk to me.
I'm a no.
Yeah, hey, why?
It doesn't make you right just because Aaron agrees with you. You can't look at me.
I didn't. I just said, hey.
I would personally myself go with someone like Casemiro. Man United at the minute, we're not the finished article. We haven't won a lot. You talk about people who've won a lot with a winning mentality. You can't get many people better than Casemiro for me at that. At the minute, what we need is a bit of blood, sweat and tears because we're not a finished article where the fancy stuff's working perfectly week in, week out. We do need to battle, and I don't think you'll get many people who'll throw themselves around as better than Casemiro, really.
Aaron, I've got two questions for you regarding Casemiro, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The first thing is Casemiro missed a lot of football last season, so should that be an issue? And the second thing is Casemiro can't speak English. Should that be an issue?
I'm pretty sure he can speak English to a certain extent, and football speaks for itself in its own way, in its body language and what you do on a pitch. And like what we've just been talking about, Bruno Fernandes, his body language a lot of the time, as a fan, you think, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you playing at? So you imagine what your players are doing when he's moaning about the little things when you've got to be perfect to do that, and he isn't perfect. No football's perfect. And for me, I think you want the best out of the players he's got. He's got a lot of young players as well. You want a good example with a good head on his shoulders. The problem with Casemiro is, like you said, he's a bit rash. He might not play a lot of games, but he's a club captain.
Yeah, and I'm happy you've said this, Aaron, just because, look, obviously I don't watch Man United week in, week out, so I only see the clips people put up about Bruno Fernandes, and obviously when they play against Liverpool, I see it as well. But he's not always like this, like in terms of being petulant, but I feel like it's a lot, and it's not, you don't want that as a captain. Maybe I'm wrong, but again, you watch him week in, week out.
For me, when he's winning, he's not petulant, but Man United are the team that are going to win week in, week out. So you need somebody who's going to be level-headed and be able to carry that team through the bad times. And for me, when it's not going well for him, he shows that on a pitch. And as a footballer, and as any other sportsman, any team you play in, you look to your captain for guidance and help. And when he's throwing his arms up, moaning with the little things players aren't doing perfectly, which you could argue they should do, but they aren't going to do it every time. There's ways and means of getting that message across. I just don't think he does it the right way to be club captain.
So your shout here is that it should be Casemiro?
For me, personally, I would love to see Casemiro as the captain of Man United, yeah.
Is there anyone else? I feel like Casemiro is a long shout. If you were to say not Casemiro, are you then on Fernandes' hype train, or are you then going to suggest someone else?
I was, but then so I never even gave it to her. I think Luke Shaw's another great shout. I think it's an absolutely fantastic shout of Luke Shaw. I really do.
Aaron, appreciate it. Oh, sorry, go on, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I'll leave it there. I'll leave it be.
Top man.
I'll go.
Cheers, Aaron. Thank you very much. I feel bad now. Just cut across him. It's like,
no, he made his point. He spoke very articulately, and he's put the case forward for Casemiro. I think a lot
will say Casemiro. I think the only thing will be what you said, and he answered it quite well in terms of the English. But you know, he speaks enough English to almost command their respect, and he does seem like he has that authority. And
the respect will be there for Casemiro, but I just don't think he plays enough football.
Yeah, I just